I'm having problems recently. Connectivity, can't get connected at the beginning, get connected, dropouts, incorrect readings because I have my watch on as well, which doesn't broadcast, unfortunately, to, for example, Zwift or a bike computer. So I still have to use a chest strap, and I can tell from me watching the chest strap that there's a difference even when I am connected. So it's become unreliable, not trustworthy. So obviously, first thing I do, change the battery, but I find I've been changing the battery an awful lot over the last few months, and the last time I changed the battery was probably only, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that. So I thought to myself, okay, you know, is it a battery issue again? What's going on here? And I buy quality batteries. It's what I use at work, and I use quality batteries, so I know there's no problem with my batteries. So first thing to do, take out the battery. Now, it's handy if you have a multimeter for doing these kind of tests, but even if you don't, hopefully it gives you an idea of what might be causing the problem and what you might need to do to fix it. So the first thing we do is, rather than just swap out the battery again, I want to test the battery and make sure that the battery is faulty. So we'll just go to our voltmeter, multimeter, stick it on volt reading there, and we'll have a look at this battery, and it's showing 2.97. So that's low. Now I know they're called 3-volt batteries, but strictly speaking, brand new out of a packet, they should be about 3.3 volts. And as soon as they get to 3 volts, you're looking at a flat battery. So under 3 volts, 2.97. So that's definitely currently causing my problem. I've got a flat battery. So obviously what I will do is I'll pop this out. I'll then get a new battery. So I'll cut this open here. It's never been out of the pack. So you'll see exactly what a fresh one out of the pack should measure. And fresh out of the pack, we're looking at 3.29, 3.3. That should be roughly spot on. So I could stick that battery in there now and I'll be good, but I'll probably only be good for another week or two before I have the same problem again. These batteries should be lasting, I mean, at least a year, even with heavy use. But probably you should be getting 2 years out of one of these batteries on for something like this. So I need to get to the bottom of what's causing this problem. So let's set this aside. The computer itself is probably actually okay, but for the purposes of, you know, it's no harm for me to have a second backup heart rate monitor anyway. So I bought a brand new one today, and that's the reason I'm doing the video, because this will really help demonstrate the difference between an old system and a new system. So here's the strap I've been using. It's most likely a few years old at this stage, relatively well looked after, but look, they get a hard life. So the way it works is obviously your computer clicks in here and here. So between these 2 points is where it's, you know, measuring your heart rate, and it gets that measurement from these 2 points here, which are the bits that obviously sit on your chest. So if we were to do a continuity test, so we just rotate around to here, this measures resistance. So if I join the two of these together, there's no resistance, so we get 0.0. There's no resistance between those 2 points. So if I click these in here to measure the resistance between this point and this point, I should get no reading, because at the moment it's an open circuit. There's nothing there. Now what I mean by that is, when these 2 points connect, we now have a closed circuit. Now usually if I touch the two of them together, that closes the circuit. If they're sitting on your chest is what becomes the link in the closed circuit, and it measures the electrical activity between here and here to get your heart rate. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what I want to do is close this loop. Now I tested this a little earlier on when this was bone dry, and I could not get a reading at all. So that is obviously one of the reasons why when I put it on initially, I'm not getting any connection. So I rubbed some electrode gel onto these pads here, which is already dried in a bit, so it may not even work as well now, but at least then that was giving me a contact. And sometimes that's what I'm having to do, kind of wet my chest or use the electrode gel. But again, when it talks about if you buy one of these new, in the instructions it will tell you to wet the pads. Don't do that. Just take, when you have it on, or well, before you put it on, just take a little bit of water in your hand and wet your skin. And because these especially when they're brand new, the water just runs straight off them. It's not going to sit on these pads, so there's no point wetting those. Wet your chest and then put this on, and that will help with the connectivity or the conductivity between this and your skin. But anyway, if we now close the two of these together, and now, which is a little bit awkward to do, but if I now measure between these 2 points, see, now we get a reading. 2.6, 2.5, and I'm pinching quite hard there. If I lay off on the pressure, see the way it's bouncing all over the place. So yeah, so there is continuity there, but that's quite high. It's not too bad, but it's not ideal. And again, it's hard to know exactly what should that be on a new strap, which is why I bought one today, to see what the new strap will read. So that's the resistance that currently exists in this strap between that point and that point when I press the two contact points together with conduct gel on them. So that's the best case scenario. And there's a three ohms of resistance. I think that's what the measurement is. Anyway, that kind of doesn't matter either, really. So let's have a look at our new strap. Slightly different setup in that the computer goes between these 2 points here, but it's the same principle. That's one pad, that's the other pad. At this moment in time, there's going to be no conductivity because the pads aren't touching, there's nothing in between, it's an open circuit. If we close the circuit, so if I just touch, now these are brand new, I've got no gel or wet or anything on them. I'm just going to cross one across the other, and then I'm going to put my tester here, and there we go. Look at that, 0.3, 0.2. And that's a massive difference to what I was getting on the other strap with gel, can't say the word, with the gel and everything on it. So this is just straight out of the packet, dry, no gel on. So I'd imagine if I put some gel on, it would probably drop it a bit more. So yeah, it should be in the 0 point something range in a brand new strap. And on the strap I'm using at the moment, best case scenario, let's just get a reading off it again. If I pinch the two of these together, and I'm pinching quite hard there as well, and I touch here, 2.8, 3. So that would explain why I'm having problems getting connected, why I'm then getting dropouts, and why I'm not getting accurate heart rate. And the other thing that would contribute to that as well is, if you look inside there, you can see that, you know, it's not as shiny as it used to be. So when you click in like that, now I have actually tightened those connections as well. I got a little blade in there and I pinched across the two little bars that capture these points here, just to get a tighter connection. I also put in a little bit of sandpaper to clean off whatever little bit of surface rust might have been on there or whatever, anything like that, dirt, grime. So I cleaned them out and done a pretty good job, and that did help, but it still didn't resolve the issue completely. So in all likelihood, this part, which is probably the expensive part, is probably fine, and the issue is the strap. And that would explain why the batteries are running down so quick, because if there's more resistance between this point and this point, the battery is having to work harder, push more power. Now I don't know that for a fact, but that's just an educated guess, that it's having to push more power through to try and get a reading. That would make sense to me why the battery is now running down so quick. So when I put in a new battery, I'll be fine for a few weeks, and then it starts to give me a problem again. So hopefully some helpful information there, that if you're having problems like that, you could, if you have a multimeter, you can buy them for like a tenner on Amazon. Handy to have around the house anyway for checking other stuff. That's an easy way to check your battery. Is your battery low? If your battery's low, then obviously you need to change it. But if your battery is running out every few weeks or once a month or even every couple of months, if it's getting that low that quickly, then either you're using rubbish quality batteries, or there's a problem most likely with the strap itself, and it's having to work too hard to get a signal from this point to this point to cross across here so that the computer can read it. So that would explain a lot of that. So you can buy these straps, replacement straps, way cheaper than you can buy these. So you could go that route if you feel that the strap is the thing that's causing the problem, and that is a way to test it. Cross over, check between your 2 points. If you've got a high level of resistance there, then that is definitely not helping, let's put it that way. And as you can see, when we have the new one, brand new out of the box, haven't even ever worn it, that gives me an idea then of what kind of resistance we should be looking at. And like that, when I cross the two of those to close that circuit, and then when the computer clicks in between those 2 points, the battery is not having to work as hard because it's less resistance between those 2 points. Making a liar out of me now, but anyway, you get the gist of it. Let's have a look again. Yeah, 0.5, 0.4, so yeah, 0.3, pretty practically no resistance between those 2 points. And yeah, so clean out your contact points there, make sure that they're tight, you're getting a good connection, and that's pretty much all you can do as far as the strap goes. I mean, you should be washing them relatively regularly. I think one of the straps I have says once every, what does this one say? It has a little thing on it that said once every 7 workouts to throw it in the washing machine, obviously without the computer. So most manufacturers do recommend washing your straps fairly regularly, and not to ignore that. And I think that does help to keep them in good nick and to help keep the conductivity working well. But obviously you want to dry them out properly and everything after you've washed them, and make sure no rust gets on these points here. So that's it. That could be what's causing a problem. If you've had a strap for a long time, it's starting to give you issues, it's starting to run down battery really quick. You know, you may not need to replace everything. Your computer part of the ecosystem may actually be working perfectly fine, and it may be just a case that you need to replace the strap. In fact, if that fits, it does actually fit, snaps in. So that computer actually fits in on that strap, even though that's the one I bought. It was only 50 euros. So that's the one that comes with this strap. But what I might do out of interest is actually put a new battery in this computer, connect it onto this strap, and try that for the next week and see do I have any problems. And that might prove my point that the computer was fine all along and it was really the strap that was causing the issue. Yeah, but obviously I have the new computer if I need, always handy to have. So maybe that's helpful. Maybe that may not fix your problems, but it might explain why you're having some issues and what you might need to do to go about resolving them in the cheapest way possible.